Hey guys. So recently there's been a lot of fury in the community over the state of Destiny 2 and the direction it's taking. So the folks over at Bungie, instead of releasing a new video play along where they go through the new stuff for Curse of Osiris, have listened to suggestions and released a blog post detailing exactly what the current plan is and what the fixes slated to come out in early December are. So let's get started with what they're offering. They're trying to give us a reason to come back to the game. Specifically, they stated they want Destiny 2 to be the game people come and play as their hobby, not the game they play once a week to grab a few exotics. So in order to do this, they're trying to offer more late game activities, more activities for hardcore players, more rewards for these players, and smooth out the reward scaling just in general for everyone to make it less frustrating in RNG. So one of the biggest things for this is the new weapon tier, Masterworks. This will feature stat trackers, random rerollable stat bonuses, unique item tooltips, and item detail screens, improved vendor rewards, and armor ornaments that grant new looks for armors that you already have without destroying all the shaders or anything else you might have already put on that armor. They're also trying to offer better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities, such as heroic nightfalls, the heroic raid, anything really difficult. They want to try and reward you for doing so. They're also trying to get people to play more parts of Destiny 2. The strikes in Destiny 2 are amazing, but I've only played like 2 of them ever, just because there's absolutely no point. Public events are much faster and offer better loot, and you don't have to suffer through having terrible teammates unless you have to find a bunch of teammates who don't proc the heroic events, in which case you have terrible teammates. They're also targeting a January update for the new harder activities and the rewards for it, but in December they're going to try and offer the better rewards, and they're also trying to offer private matches for the Crucible. So really trying to appeal to the competitive player here. They're trying to get the people that play an FPS as almost like a job. They stream on Twitch, they theorycraft different comps or different weapon builds or different items, and these are really the ones that they want to bring to Destiny 2. Because one of the big problems Destiny PvP has always had is no private matches. Private matches in Destiny 1, the way we did it was based on geographical location and trying to get in games at the same time as people, and it was honestly a mess. So this is at least a promising start, although it doesn't address some of the other core issues with PvP, but it's a good start. Crucible tuning as well, better incentives for completed Crucible matches. As currently playing Crucible, you are definitely getting worse rewards than if you just did even just strikes, but if you did public events, for sure you're getting terrible rewards compared to Crucible. So getting better rewards for playing Crucible is definitely a step in the right direction as well. They're also trying to add a quitter penalty and a few other different little improvements. They're also, one of the big things is a change to how we get rewards, as well as the mod economy, ongoing improvements to exotics. This comes along with the rewards and emote interface. So the details for December are pretty good, and we'll cover them here. So there are 4 key areas they're targeting: better rewards for high tier players, more player control over obtaining rewards, which is, anyone remembering the faction event, if you pledged New Monarchy like me, you probably wanted all their armor. However, if you got unlucky, maybe you got none of their armor. If you're like me and were just whatever, you got 3 pieces. And if you're really lucky, you got all the armor, all the weapons, and a bunch of really good stuff that you wanted. But there was no real control over it. Once you got those 30 engrams, that was it. You were done. That was all the control you had over what you were going to get. They're also going to make shards more useful, as I'm sure everyone that's played the game for a decent amount of time knows that they have hundreds of these things, and they're not all that useful, especially once you have most of the exotics from Xur. And a few general quality of life fixes. So, Masterworks. So a Masterwork weapon is any legendary weapon has the chance to drop as a Masterwork version of the weapon. And they can also be upgraded to become Masterworks versions by, if you salvage a Masterworks weapon, you get pieces that can make other weapons Masterworks. So don't worry if you don't get your favorite weapon, or if your favorite weapon was limited. For example, my Song of Justice from New Monarchy. You can upgrade that to Masterwork, no worries. And they'll have a few small advantages. They track and display the number of kills on that weapon, choice between total count or crucible only. Generate orbs for you and your allies on multi-kills. So this is the big one for PvE. A lot of people's complaints in PvE right now is that you don't feel powerful enough. In PvE, you're supposed to be blasting through hordes of enemies using space magic and cool abilities. You don't feel like that right now. But by having multi-kills, which happen a lot in PvE, if I just grab my Uriels and mow down a horde of thralls running at me, I can make some orbs for me and my allies. And then we can get our supers, and then we can start chaining supers, which is a lot of fun. And then for Crucible, where you don't get that many multi-kills, they're adding weapon and stat bonuses that are selected randomly from a small pool and are rerollable. So we're going to have to see exactly what all of these are, but these should make Crucible at least a bit better because it'll give you more agency over what your character can do. Currently, one of the problems with Crucible and the game in general is you can only choose 2 paths for each class. You can choose your grenade, how you want your jump to act, and how your special ability will act, but then the rest of the changes to your class, you can choose between one of 2 paths. And if you want to play, for example, a Night Stalker and you want the quiver ability, you have to give up a bunch of other stuff. Or if you don't want the quiver ability, but you want everything else in the tree, you have to just not unlock that quiver ability and just have 3 instead of 4 abilities, which feels really bad. So that will definitely help out a bit, and having more agency will hopefully this means that they'll look into stuff like that, like allowing us to change paths and customize our characters more in whichever way we want. So Masterworks drop from any source of legendary weapons for characters above 250 power, which is really easy to get. Unwanted Masterworks can be dismantled into materials that can upgrade an existing legendary weapon into a Masterwork. And Raid and Trials of 9 weapons will have a very high chance to be Masterworks. So these things are a little harder to get, much higher chance to drop as a Masterwork, so you won't have to spend too many Masterwork items to make them. And they also have future plans to extend Masterworks to other gear, so I'm assuming that means armor, but maybe it could mean sparrows, ghosts, who knows. So armor ornaments, this is something we already knew was coming, but still nice to have confirmation. It's basically a skin for your armor. So if you have an armor that you really like, you've probably put some shaders into it, maybe you have a really good legendary mod into it, and you want to look different because a new piece of armor comes along, or a new piece of armor for the same faction comes along, you can throw an ornament into that armor, so that you can change how the armor looks without losing all your progress on it. This will also be applied to the base pieces you may have already collected and can now unlock on vendors if not. And so Season 2, which starts in December, these are the armors that are going to have ornaments: Vanguard, Crucible, Trials, Iron Banner, Dead Orbit, so the 3 factions, and the Eater of Worlds Raid Lair armor. And so faction armor, this is one of the big things. Faction armor and weapons will be unlocked for purchase for legendary shards and faction tokens on most faction vendors. So the most is a bit concerning, but apart from that, that's really good. What it means is you can, if you want better devils, you don't have to continuously just spam engrams. You can just wait for better devils to appear as one of the weapons for the faction reward from Shaxx, go over to Shaxx and spend 2 reward engrams, or some legendary shards and crucible tokens, whatever they decide to go with, and buy yourself a better devils, which is a much better solution than spamming crucibles for several hundred levels and becoming unlucky and hating the game because of it. So the armor slots will always be present, and the weapons will rotate weekly on factions that have them. So one week it could be better devils, next week it could be a scout. Honestly, I'd like it if the weapons rotated a bit more often than that, as there are a lot of weapons. Most factions have several different types of weapons. So it could take a while to get all of them, but at least it's a step in the right direction. And you will get credit for engrams you may have already claimed since launch, so this is pretty good. Xur also has a few new nice little things for exotics. So there's a new Fated engram, which will decrypt as an exotic you don't have in your collection. You can only buy it once per week, but this guarantees that even if Xur doesn't have a new item for you, Xur will have a new item for you, unless you have every exotic. And currently the cost is 97 legendary shards, which is pretty steep, but most people have tons of legendary shards anyways, so for an exotic you don't have yet, that's a pretty good deal. As well as a simpler 3 of coins. So for people that didn't play Destiny 1, 3 of coins was an item that you could pop for killing any boss or activity, and it would increase the chance of an exotic from that activity. And they were good, but they were a little annoying because you had to keep popping them. You had to keep remembering them, keep micromanaging them in your inventory, and it was pretty annoying to do. So this new one is a lot simpler. It's just it boosts the exotic drop rates from any source for 4 hours. You want to go play Crucible for 4 hours? Pop one, maybe you'll get more exotics. You want to go do public events? Pop it, go to exotics. Cost legendary shards, and you can have as many as you like, so you don't need to worry about only being able to buy one a week. You can just stock up on them. Then there's also general vendors. So Banshee has a few new weapon and armor mod changes, which is pretty nice because the current mod system is fairly unimaginative. You spend Glimmer to buy rare mods, you combine rare mods to make epic mods, and you use epic mods on your gear to increase your light level. Woohoo. So rare quality mods will dismantle the gunsmith materials and have a chance to produce legendary quality mod components. For players chasing specific legendary mods, Banshee will offer a selection of specific legendary mods for direct purchase. So just like with the factions, Banshee is now offering specific legendary mods that you can buy. And these are also going to cost legend shards as well as mod components. Then Master Rahul will also sell some legendary engrams if you're really looking for a certain world legendary or Masterworks. Also legendary shards. Zavala and Shax will sell gift consumables for legendary shards that can be used during a Strike or Crucible match that will serve the following functions. Grant bonus rewards to everyone in that activity upon completion, friend or foe alike, and award anything from faction tokens to a round of exotics for everyone in the match. So this will be really big for people that have tons of legendary shards and like playing in groups with their clan, because it can really give everyone a nice little boost and everyone will like it. And also, games that do this, it always feels nice when you see that someone is not only supporting the game, but they're also helping you out by giving you extra XP, extra items, whatever the thing. It's a nice feel-good mechanic that doesn't really hurt anyone, and it's another way to get to spend legendary shards. So, great change. Then, so this change is a little. I'll have to explain it a bit. So, for those of you that, especially that run Night Stalker or buy the treasure maps, if you unlock too many chests in the patrol places, so if you're in the EDZ on Earth, if you're on Titan, whatever, if you unlock too many chests, you start to get nothing. You get absolutely nothing, except maybe a bit of glimmer from the chest, which feels really annoying, because especially if you're actively hunting for chests, you're like, why are they preventing me from hunting chests and getting stuff, and all you're getting is like 30 glimmer, and it really feels annoying. So what they've done is they've relaxed the safeguards on these, and even if you do manage to hit the safeguard, if you're hunting chests at an extremely fast rate, you'll still get 1 token, you just won't get 3, or maybe 3 tokens instead of 10 if you get, for example, the region chest. And the glimmer will be unaffected, so you'll get the normal amount of glimmer no matter what. So they would like to associate a visual indicator with this in a future patch, just so you know if you're hitting the cap, but that won't happen on the 12th. Vendors will also beckon you to hand in your reputation tokens only when you're carrying enough to earn a reward engram, which is a nice change because it's kind of annoying when you have one of them kind of calling up to the tower and you've got like three tokens. And there's a few changes for reputation tokens themselves. So daily challenges will have reputation token rewards increased across the board. Cade's treasure chests still offer variable rewards, but now guarantee a minimum payout of destination appropriate reputation tokens. Strikes will drop a larger amount of Vanguard reputation tokens, which is another way to get people into strikes. And the common quality destination resource tokens will have their drop rates increased to 100%, and values per token increased as well, by 50% for common quality tokens and 250% for rare qualities. So on the balance, reputation required per reward engram will increase for destination factions and the gunsmith. And Leviathan raid tokens will be redeemed at Benedict immediately upon obtaining a token, instead of requiring a full clear before unlocking it. So, with the launch of Curse of Osiris in the beginning of Season 2, you can expect to see a full suite of patch notes that will document everything they're going to do. But this blog is just the main way to get it out for now. And they've also made a note about XP mechanics. So, one of the big things on Reddit that people discovered a few weeks ago was that as you play more and more, the amount of experience you gain decreases. It still says you're gaining plus 7,000, plus 15,000, whatever, but you're not actually gaining that. You're gaining much less. And they disabled that last week because it feels really bad to a player to be told, hey, you're playing too much. We don't want to give you bright engrams anymore, but we're still going to pretend you're getting full XP. So their intention was to keep slower paced activities as rewarding as high intensity grinding. So Crucible, Strikes, anything that didn't give you experience as fast as public events, without confusing variations in displayed experience values, so you don't have to go and get 17.13 experience from killing a thrall instead of maybe 40. But because they didn't communicate this and the mechanic wasn't talked about and was silent, it kind of felt like a betrayal. And honestly, it's just a bad feeling mechanic in general. If I want to do the fastest experience to get the fastest loot, why should I be punished for investing my time in playing the game the way it was designed? So it was just a bad thing, and they've changed it, which is good. So they do need to rebalance experience, apparently. They feel that we are gaining experience, I guess, too quickly, or that some activities really just don't gain experience fast enough. For example, Crucible, you are not going to gain as much experience in Crucible, or anywhere near as much experience in Crucible as you will doing Heroic Publics. It's not even close. So they're changing the values into the website API, and in a future update, they intend to link all these values together for greater consistency. But the new 160,000 experience per level means that leveling is too slow for some activities, and they've started to try and figure out exactly how quickly they want everyone to be leveling up and try and balance that properly across all activities. So anyways, that was the big Destiny blog documenting everything that's going to happen on the 5th and 12th updates. It's definitely a step in the right direction. They're definitely seeing that players are unhappy and want to be able to play Destiny 2. I'm only logging in for Destiny 2 like once a week right now, just because any more than that's kind of pointless. I just need to grab Zur and do a few of my exotic, the power item quests. And really, that's all I really feel like playing Destiny 2. It's a very fun game. It's a lot of fun. But until they make changes like this, it just doesn't have a reason to log in. And so this is definitely a good step forward. It's definitely, they need to make changes like this in order to keep people playing and in order to keep people engaged with the game. And hopefully changes like this, as well as the new Curse of Osiris expansion, will not only bring people back, but make people want to stay this time. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like, and have a good one.